Okay, we began a sugi yesterday, machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Mamash Yisaidistik sugya, a very famous sugya, whether mois kindness or not. Right, Rabbi Yochanan says in the Sata Kesef Yadchad, the mois is kindness. He says it by Hegdish, for who didn't by what? By Hedyet. Says Reish Lakish, Chisimku Nimcha Misecha Karyan Misecha, only Mashicha, not money. Only Mashicha and not what? And not mois. That's the machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Okay. In our Mishnah, in our Mishnah, we're going to see a shita that's going to be a kasha. We said in the Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon Oimer, Kol shekesef biyada yada al yoina. We're speaking about going back on a deal. If the kinyan wasn't finalized, you go back on the deal. You get what's called a mishapara. So who can go back on the deal? Mashma anybody. According to Rabbi Shimon, only the moicha can go back on the deal. He has the kesef. He can go back on the deal, but the lekech can't go back on the deal. With that in mind, let's begin. We're on the first wide line on Mem Zayin Omid base. Tanan. Rav Shimon Oimer. Kol shekesef biyadai, yadai al yoina. Right? So anyone who has the kesef in his hand, he has the yad al yoina, he can either let the deal go through, or he can go ahead and say Michais on the deal. Moichu de Matziha debate. The Moichu can have charata on the deal. Lakech la Matziha debate. Now, what's the svara behind that? Iyanit b'shleima mois kainais. If you're going to tell me that the kinyan's done, and it's the takana de chachamim, that what? That said, it's not. Mois is kaina. But the chachamim were metakin meshicha, shema yisruchu chitcha ba'aliyah. So really the deal is done. And it's a king, and therefore what? Therefore, mishum haki moichem matziha debei. It's not finalized. It's not finalized because they're metakin meshicha. Lokech le matziha debei. Because vis-a-vis the lokeach, the deal is done. And there is a kinyan done already. It's just that the Chacham said you need what? You need Mashiach. But again, there is some type of kinyan. Since there's some type of kinyan, therefore the lokeach cannot go ahead and have charata, right? However, Eliyam and Mois kindness, fellas, guys, if Mois is Eina kindness, if money is not kindness, what's kindness? Mashiach. So even if he has money in his hand, the Meicher, why can't the Lekeach have charata? There was nothing done. There was no Mashiach. So why can't he go? Mois ain't a kindness. Lekeach not be lahadabei. So the Gemara again, the Svar is like this. Mois kindness means what? There is a kinyan, except because the gezerah of Shema Yisrach Aliyah that in the silo it's going to burn down. They said the kinyan mine is not fine. It's not finalized till you do it. So therefore, when the Meicher gets the money, if something happened, Memela the Lekeach can't have charata. But the Meicher could. Conversely, late Reb Shimon ben Lakish, money means nothing. All that counts what is the Mashiach. If there was no Mashiach and there was nothing, so why can't the Lekeach also have charata? It's a kasha on Reish Lakish. And no, it's very lucky. We have a kasha from our Mishnah. Shitas Reb Shimon in our Mishnah would apparently be what? Shver on Reish Lakish. So I'm like Reish Lakish. Aliba the Reb Shimon like kamin. Einachinami. I did not say my din according to who? According to Reb Shimon. I did not say my din according to Rav Shimon. According to Rav Shimon, I agree. I said according to Rabbanan that said both can have charata. Again, as long as the Mashiach wasn't done, says the Chachamim, not only can the Meicher have charata, but even the Lekeach can have charata. Now, Bishleim Reish Lakish, Hainu Dika Bein Rav Shimon and Rabbanan. Very good, Reish Lakish. You have a difference between Rav Shimon and Rabbanan, right? Whether you can get, according to Rav Shimon, only the Meicher, not the Lekeach, but Rabbanan both. Rabbi Yochanan, Ma'ikah bein Shimon Rabbanan. The bottom line is they both can have charata. So what's the difference between Rav Shimon and Rabbanan according to Rabbi Yochanan? If Mois kindness, what's the difference? Notice you still need Mashiach to do it. What's the svara? It could be Nayud Rav Chisda. The difference would be what? Rav Chisda. Okay, let me say that again. Rabbi Yochanan, Ma'ikah bein Rav Shimon Rabbanan. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says Ma'ikah bein Shimon Rabbanan. Kloima b'may kamifli. What's the machloikis? Usually when it says my binayu, guys, you want to know enough kamina and halacha. Here we're asking, what's the svaras and machloikis? Matam nois in the devreim. What's the reason for them? That's what Rashi tells us. So what's the reason? What's the svaras and machloikis between the two? It could be neither of Chisda. It's of Chisda. Then Domer of Chisda. Kider shetiknu Mashiach b'moichrin, kach tiknu Mashiach b'lekuchos. Just like they were talking Mashiach with the Meicher, that he can have charata as long as that Mashiach wasn't done. Kach tiknu chachamim Mashiach lekeach, to go ahead and be able to have charata because of that hakana itself. because that's takana itself. Let's see Rashi, guys. Kach tiknu chachan meshicha lelekeach lachsabai. The takana gufa of Shema Nisra Chita Aliyah is not only helpful, it's crucial. Why? The Nisru Chitra, the Kol Shekein Kim Mukmis Lechazara Nami B'Rishus Lekeach Masa Nafshi HaMeicha. Since he's putting in the Rishus Lekeach, the Meicha is going to be Meisa Nefesh to save the produce. V'Taruchu Matzel Shem Yira HaLekeach D'Leika Ba. If let's say he sees there's a fire, you know what he's going to say? Kazrani Bi. He's going to say, I got on the deal. In other words, the Lekeach, the Meicher is incentivized not only for him to make money, but not to lose money. In other words, if the Lekeach doesn't have Karata, the deal's not finalized, so the Meicher is going to save it, what? In order that he makes money. What can happen is Lekeach really can get his money back and say the deal is off and the stuff burns. Right. Well, come on, the Gemara is going to bring a source for that. So not only are we talking for the Meicher, they're talking for the Lekeach as well. So Rav Shimon less like Rav Chisda. Rav Shimon obviously does not hold the Rav Chisda's then. Only the Meicher can have Karata, right? And Rabbanan is like Rav Chisda. The Rabbanan who both can have Karata would hold Rav Chisda, side the Meicher and side the Lekeach can have Karata. Tanan. Avo. If you go back on the deal, right? We said in our Mishnah, if you go back on the deal, in other words, it's not finalized until Mashiach. Aval Omru, Misha Para Midar Amabel. Whoever took retribution for the Daramabel, who does the part of Misha Eno Omer B'Diburoi, he will take retribution for someone who does not keep his word. Bishleim and Mois Kainais Shem Hachi Koi Ba'avel. Bishleim, you can tell you Mois Kainais, he doesn't keep his word. There was a kinyan done, and it's only Takana D'Rabbanan that what a Mashiach doesn't finalize. We can understand why the guy gets a klala of Misha Para. Avali Amit Mois Enes Kainais according to Rav Shimon Melakish. Amai Koi Ba'avel. Guys, what did he do wrong? In other words, a kinyan took place. You gave money. Says Rav Shimon, says Rabbi Shlakish, Midor Raisa, there is no kinyan. So if there's no kinyan, you should be able to have a charata without any retribution. Why are you getting a klala of Mishapara? There was no kinyan, there was nothing. What was there? What was there? You made the guy feel bad because the guy expected. I still remember I sold my house on a handshake. And I thought I was so excited. I sold my house on a handshake. And the guy went back on the deal. I remember feeling so bad. What? Same thing? Okay.
Got it back though.
What?
Got it back.
No, there was no money. There was no exchange. It was a handshake. There was a handshake. And
Yes.
What happened?
If someone gets house on Avenue M, he shook hands with somebody, and someone else who looked at it before came back and offered him like, I'll give you more. So he shook hands with the guy. So give more money. So I shook hands with the guy, give him the contract on the ground. I don't want to talk to you.
That was Ari. That's beautiful. That's the. I know, but this guy went back on the deal, and I remember thinking maybe you should get some Mishapara. And then I said, no, he doesn't get a Mishapara. From this Gemara, you see, you don't get a Mishapara. A handshake's nothing. A handshake's nothing. Maybe. Says the Gemara Bidvarim. 1 second. Later, Rav Shimon ben Lakish, we went back on your word. So you're going to be Shapara going back on your word, right? Maybe. Afraid the Gemara Kasha, like Rish Lakish, guys, that there was no kinyan, and therefore, why should both can go back on the deal? Why should you get a Mishapara? Why should you get a Klala? Nothing happened. He doesn't own anything. You didn't go ahead. You may have disappointed him. Says, well, yeah, but Devarim may nachinami. Not staying with the Gemara with Devarim mikoi ba'avel. That Aval, you're going to get a Mishapara for Devarim. A little long-winded Bryce until we get to the Kasha. But Tanya, Rav Shimon Eimer, Afal Pisha Amru, Talis Kaina Dina, even though the Talis can be Kaina the Dina, Zahav, because the Talis is the Paris guys, and the Dina Zav is the money. Vein Dina Zav, Kaina Talis, because Moisein the Kainais, become Mokim, Kachalacha, that what? Aval Amru, Misha, Pora, Mianshe Doramabel. That even though it can't be kaina, but you're going to get a mishapara. Whoever took retribution for anshe dor amabel, or me'anshe dor aflaga, or me'anshe sedaim va'amoira, or me'mitzrayim bayom, who was the para misha ino oimi b'diburai. Okay, we didn't know kasha yet. Okay, v'hanoisa v'noisim bidvarim. This is what we need. And a person makes a transaction bidvarim words loikana, right? V'hichzeboy, and if you go what and you have charata. Ein ruach chacham noichi menu. You don't get a mishapara. You get the chacham say this guy's not such a good guy. Says Rashi. Ein nachas ruach lechachmi Yisrael b'maisav. No one's happy shalzeh with this guy's actions. Ein daitam noicha aleim himena al yadai. So Klal Yisrael, the leaders of Klal Yisrael, will not go ahead and be happy with you. but it won't get a mishapara. But Amarava, Anuin Lanu Ela Ein Ruach Chacham Nachimenu. So fake the Marakasha. Guys, outside. You get it good. Where's the big kasha? Mamasha, are you soidi dika kasha? Our Mishnah, right? Our Mishnah said the following: that you came to a transaction, you didn't do the transaction well. Why? Because you did the Mashiach in the wrong thing. You did Mashiach in the money without the Mashiach in the payments, right? The wrong thing, right? Why do we say? Bottom line is a person doesn't keep his word, the deal's not a deal, but if you're going to go back in the deal, where are you going to go back in the deal? There was no deal. There was nothing. Rabbi I can understand there was money. There was something. Late Reish Lakish, there was nothing. Late Reish Lakish, there was nothing. Good? Nothing. So, you went back on your word. Fred the Gemara, we just had a brisa. Going back on your word gets you Ein Ruach Chacham Nochi Imenu. It doesn't get you a Mishapara. Right? It doesn't get a Mishapara. That's the kasha. On Reish Lakish, you want it. There's no kinyan. Why are you getting Mishapar? There's no kinyan because you went back on your word. Says the Gemara. I got a brisa saying if you go back on your word, you get Ein Ruach Chacham Nochi Imenu, but you don't get a Mishapara. That's the kasha. And for the Gemara, 1 second. Devarim v'ikabinayu ma'is koi ba'avel. Words with a money transaction, then there is avel. Devarim v'leka ba'adayu ma'is like koi ba'avel. Pirish. There's going back on your word, and there's going back on your word. In my scenario, there was no money transferred. There was simply what? There was simply a handshake. He didn't give me a check. He gave me nothing. Therefore, ein ruach chacham nochi imenu. If in fact we had a handshake and a kinyan, and he went ahead, good. There was no mashiach, but the kesef on a house might be different regarding mishapara, because kesef, as we're going to see, could be make the whole kinyan. But the bottom line is once there's money plus the going back on the deal, then you get a mishapara. So there's 2 levels. Actually, there's 3. Right? There's 3 levels. There's the kinyan that works. There's words you get in ruach chacham nochi imenu. And there's the middle one. There's some money transferred in addition. There is the lack of a kinyan, but there's money transferred. That's a mishapara. Amarava. Kro umastisa masai leil reish lakish. We have a pasuk and a mishnah that's a right to reish lakish. Okay, to understand this pasuk, guys, I sent it out. If you didn't get it, it's Vayikra Hey. I just quoted psukim. Go to Vayik, take a pasuk. Go to Vayikra Hey pasuk chaf aleph. Did you get it? On the I sent it out. You did get it. I sent it to you privately, probably. It comes out on that thing. That thing comes out on. Okay, here's what it says. Guys, this is the parsha of Oshem Gazelis. Nefesh kisechto mol mal ba'Hashem rebels. The kichesh ba'amisai. He denies his friend. By denying, how's he denying? By pikadon. He's denying that he has pikadon. Or he denies having his money through a loan. Or he's denying stealing something and it's not his possession. Or he denies owing him wages. He finds an aveda, and he swears falsely that he doesn't have it. When he and he admits his avera, he should return the gazela that he stole, or the money that he owes workers, or the thing he was entrusted with, that was entrusted to him. Notice, guys, it doesn't say anything about sumas yad. Guys, notice it doesn't say anything about sumas yad. It doesn't say anything about a loan. It doesn't say anything about a loan. We had a whole list above in the first pasuk, and the second in this pasuk it mentions nothing about a loan. Good. Then the next pasuk, anything that he swears falsely about, then he admits it. He's going to pay Karen. The Chamisha Yosef Lo is going to pay a Chaimish, which is really a quarter. Okay, so this is the pasuk, guys. This is the pasuk, okay? Good. Now, let's see what we got. We're going to see from here a lomdisha mashicha, guys. We're going to see from here a lomdisha mashicha. I'm going to give it to you outside. Listen outside. Good. Listen. Milvaloit sanitnu. You're going to come to a person and you will say, I lent you $1,000. Where's my money? I don't have your money. And you don't. Even if you didn't spend it, even if you have the same $100 bills, you have $100 bills, you have it in your possession, and you say I don't have it, you're not going to swear on that. You're not. You could swear on that, but you're not going to be in kashim. You might be a chatas, but you're not going to be in a kashim ashim gazelis. Why? Because milva lehait sonitna. Milva is for the purpose of spending. So you don't have nothing. You have zero. Guys, good. Oishek, the same thing. Where's my wages? You're making a claim. The claim has to be on something. Pikodin, avela, gazela. It has to be on something. It has to be on a dova that you have in your possession. That's what it has to be. Okay. So, what's the case of halva? What's the case of sesumas yad? What's the case of oishek? When you made the loan, the loiva set aside a kli, and he said the following: he goes, "If I don't pay you back, you're going to collect from there." But he doesn't give it to the malva. He doesn't give it to the malva. He doesn't give it to the malva. Now the malva shows up. Where's my money? Meaning, where's that kli? The same thing with the workers. The workers, they guarantee where you guarantee us going to pay us. He puts a kli aside. That's your guarantee. That's your guarantee. So therefore, you have the object that he's going ahead and he's being kaifer on. He's being kaifer that he doesn't have that object. Then he's swearing falsely. Then you're going to pay. Now, right? Why doesn't it say sheshumas yad? Why doesn't it say sheshumas yad? You know why? Guys, listen to the lumdis. It doesn't say the loan. Who has this? The loiva has it. Who has it? The loiva has it. So what's the claim of the malva? The claim of the malva is, where's my pikadin? What's the answer? It's not yours. You never did a mashicha. It's not yours. You never did a mashicha. So since you never did a mashicha, it's not yours. That's the pshat. That's the raya to who? That's the raya to Reish Lakish's din. That's his raya. Let's see it inside, fellas. You have Gemara if you want. But up there's Gemara's. I'm right there. No. Go next. Okay. I'll make sure if it's taking an article, make sure it's number 2. Okay, there you go. Okay, anyway. So says the Gemara. Amarava, Kra umastisa Messiah leil Reish Lakish. Kra dichsiv. Guys, again, go through it again. It's a lumdis. The kichesh ba'misai, and he's denying this friend. The pikadin, oy b'sesumas yad, oy b'gazel, oy oishek esamisai. Right, by paying, not paying his wages. Sesumas yad. What is sesumas yad? Rav Chisda kigoin sheyachid loy klil alvasai. He goes ahead. He has a kli that is like a mashkin. It's by the loiva, and he's saying, "Come on, I'll pay you from there." Now the malva comes and he denies loan. He's denying to pay from this kli. Okay, you understand? Milvalite son, you need to come up with this guys. You have to know that idea that in order to go ahead and swear, being a Kamarash Gazelis, you have to deny a physical thing. Milvalite son, you have nothing. So therefore, by creating the scenario, the same thing by Oishik, by wages, where is it? You're putting it in this kli. So now the guy says, "Where's the kli?" Because I never gave it. I never had it. Now the right. Amrav says, "No, Oishik. What's Oishik?" Amrav Chisda going sheyachid like kli l'ashkoi. He went ahead and he's miyakid a kli to pay him up. Now, v'chiyahadre krok siv. Now, when the pasuk goes back, it says v'hoya kiyechda v'ashem v'hashem v'sagazela shegazal oyasa Oishik asher oshak oyasa bikod nasher hafgar itayu. I say. It doesn't mention the loan. It's not missing. Our lineup is missing. It doesn't mention the loan. My timer, lav mishum the mechasra mashicha. Isn't it because it's missing mashicha? Who has the object? The loiva has the object. Now the malva is claiming, "Where's my kli?" Guess what? You don't have a kli. The lam the sharaya to the shita of Reish Lakish that Moish is kaina. In a million years, you never get this, right? Raya. Amalera Papa Larava, Emami Oishek Huda Hadakra. Maybe the fact that it repeats Oishek, it includes Halva. Guys, what's the case of Oishek is repeated, right? Say yes. Yes. Oishek is repeated, yes. Oishek is speaking where you gave a kli? Yes. Oishek is speaking where you gave a kli. So I didn't have to say Halva. Once you said Oishek, it's included. Once you said Oishek, it's included. You don't have to say Alva. And I said Oishek because it's the same mitzias of the case. where it's speaking where you miyachad a kli to pay the workers. So it says Gemara, Hachamay Askinon by the Oishek, going Shenat Lumimenu, the workers took it from him, so there was a Mashiach. And they went and they gave it back to the Balabas. So therefore there was a Mashiach. Masha'en came by Alva, there was no Mashiach. Says Gemara, if that's the case, so they were paid with the Kli, and now they're entrusting him to watch their thing. That's the same as Pikodin. And it says Pikodin, why need to repeat? It says, Pikodin. You have two cases of Pikodin. There's two types of Pikodin. One that classically was entrusted, and one that came about as a result of wages. Ihachi Fred the Gemara. If it's speaking by Oishik, where you took the Pikodin, there was a Mashiach, and you returned it, Sesumas Yad Nami. Why don't we say Sesumas Yad as well? Lahadre, it's speaking wherever he gave it back. V'lukme, and he gave it back to the loiva. Going Shenatli Yimenu v'chazav Kidu Etzlai, and therefore what? You had a Mashiach, and right, you had a Mashiach, and therefore, and you have no right to Reish Lakish. That's the Gemara. Hadre Kra, if in fact it's speaking where, right, if it's speaking where it's in that case, like to Yuftav Leisiata, you wouldn't have a question, and you wouldn't have what? You wouldn't have a raya. But Hashtad Hadre Kra, now that the pasuk doesn't put the Sumash Yad in, Messiah lay. It's the right to Reish Lakish. Okay? Right, the Gemara, Sumash Yad Hadre Kra, what are you talking about? Tanya. How do you know the upper pasuk where it doesn't mention sumas yad, where it does mention sumas yad, that what's below should be included in that? Because the pasuk said, "Oy mikol asher yishava lov l'shaker." The pasuk said, and anything that he says to Rav Nachman, Rab Avu, Rab, the Rabbi says sumas yad l'yishava. Says behead yemi alayatrin. Okay, outside guys, let's. I said a lot of words. Let me try to get it to. What's the raya over here? What's the raya over here? The raya is from the fact that it doesn't say Sumas Yad a second time. Meaning, Sumas Yad is speaking where the loiva has in his possession the money that will ultimately be given to the kli that will be given to go ahead and cover his loan that he took. Malva comes up, says, "Where's my kli?" He says, "I don't have it," but he denied a kli. And Memela, when he admits the truth, he's going to bring what? Pay Karen, Chaimish, and an Asham. That's the case. Good? Great. Now, what's the right of Shimon? What's the right to Reish Lakish? What's the right to Reish Lakish? Is that why is the Kli considered still the Loiva's Kli, that the Malva could make a claim? Where is it? It's because, why doesn't it say Sumas Yad? You know why? Sumas Yad is not included. In other words, you can't make that claim. You can't come and say, where is my Kli? The answer is it's not your Kli. The Malva doesn't have anything yachas to the Kli. Why doesn't the Malva any yachas to the Kli? Because there's no Mashiach. He gave him a loan, but there was no Mashiach on the Kli. Read the Gemara. So, but why by Oishik it's repeated? And Oishik has the same Metzia of the case. Oishik was all the speaking where the workers were entrusted. They wanted to know security, where my wage is coming from. They said it's coming from the Kli. That's speaking where they returned it to him. That they got paid, there was a Mashiach, and they returned it to them. Fred the Gemara, if that's the case, then Sumashat should be speaking in the same case also, where the Malva did do a Mashiach, and it was returned, and if there was a Mashiach, then there's no riot to Reish Lakish. Says the Gemara, if that's the case, then what's the Chiddush whatsoever? What's the Chiddush of leaving it out? You wouldn't have left it out. There's no Chiddush. The fact that you left it out is a riot to Reish Lakish. Fred the Gemara, is it really left out? The pasuk says, Kol Asher Yishava, anything, including Sesumas Yod. So it says of Shimon, it's included. Therefore, it's considered in the parsha, says the Gemara, but nonetheless, it's not included openly. We're going to be marbit through a riboy, but explicitly, it's not stated there. So right now, that was the raya to Reish Lakish from the Torah. Right. Okay, if you got that, great. If not, you're still young, 7.5 years from now, you get it again. Okay, now. Okay, what about the oral, the Torah Shabbat Peraya? Says the Gemara, Maslisa Minolan. What do you know? Maslisa Minolan. Says the Tanya. Now we know there's a din of what of guys, the din of Me'ilah. When does Me'ilah take place? When it's Yotzim Mishur Segdish. When it's Yotzim Mishur Segdish. The Tanya. Naslan Lebalon. You go to the mikvah, you pay the guy with kesef of Hegdish, Yemoil. It's going what? It's going from you, even though no kinyan was made. even though kinyan was made, right? You gave the guy money. There's meila. But Amarav, dafka balon, dafka what a bathhouse attendants. Who the lemechasa mashicha? Because there's nothing to make a mashicha on. Avamidi achrita the mechasa mashicha, another profession that you have hegdish money. It's not going to be moil until the kinyan's made. You know what the kinyan does? It takes it out of rishus of hegdish. Leimol adam moshech. So l'chayri, that's a raya to who? To Reish Lakish. That's a right to Reish Lakish, right? You paid the money, and it's not going to go out until Mashicha. By Balan, there is no Mashicha. But you see, when it's Shaykh Mashicha, it only is considered a Kinyan when there's Mashicha. It's only considered a Kinyan when there's Mashicha. But Tanya, Nasna L'Saper, you go to a barber, and you give him Hegdish money, Ma'al. Now, there's a din of Me'ila. By a barber, you have to go ahead and do Mashicha on the sisters. I don't know what kind of barber they had in those days. You go to the barber, you don't do Mashicha on that. But again, this seems to be at the time that you make a kinyan. So we have a kasha. You just told me this rule. What's your rule is? It's a dover that your mashach, that you only moil when the Mashicha takes place. But it says over here, if you go to a barber, you moil right away, even though there is an act of Mashicha that can transpire after you give him the cash. It says, we're speaking again. What's the parsha of Mashicha? Your brother, but not what? Not a guy. So Memela, there is no kinyan Mashicha by guy. There's only kinyan Kesef. Memela, you'll be moil right away if you go to a guy Shababa, and you're not supposed to go. But you go to a guy Shababa now. The lav Mashicha. So this is a raya to Reish Lakish. The fact that you need Mashicha to take it out of the Rishus is a raya to Reish Lakish. So we have a raya from the pasuk, the parsha of Osram Gezelos, and we have a raya from the Torah in the Mishnah in Me'ila. Haninami Hachi, Naslan L'Saper, that this chilik between a Goyish barber and a Jewish barber. Haninami Hachi, Naslan L'Saper, you give it to a barber, or L'Safen, or to a ferry guy, a boatman. Or L'chol Bali Umanois, Lo'imoy Ladam Mashach. That's the raya to Reish Lakish. Kashana Adodi, you have a stira in barbers, guys. The first place it said the barber you moil right away. The second one said you only moil until you do Mashicha. So that's when you moil right away because there's no Mashicha by a guy. Kambasapa Yisrael Shmamina, great raya. So l'chayra, if you'd end the Gemara right here and right now, you'd say the halachas in conjunction with who? With Reish Lakish. Rava brought a raya. Good. Who is his raya? Brought a raya from Hashem Gzelos. He brought a pasuk. Als is good in Gemara land. Okay? We'll see in a second. Efshin nit. Says Gemara Vaita. V'chein Amar Rav Nachman, Devar Torah Mois Kainais. Not only does Rabbi Yochanan say Mois Kainais, in addition, Rav Nachman also agrees with Rabbi Yochanan. Ubotko Levi b'masnite, and Levi checked his prices. The Ashkech, and he found the following: Naslan l'sitin. L'sitin is a wholesaler. Let's say you go ahead, you give the guy your retailer, and you're giving the guy money for futures, and you're going to provide for you the whole year. You give him X amount of money, right? And over the year, you're going to pay the rest. That's what comes in. So Naslan l'sitin, the wholesaler, and you give him a kesef of Maisa, you moil right away. But 1 second, there's no Mashiach done. You see that Maisa is kindness. Elakash Reish Lakish fellas, that what Milo would add a kinyan Mashiach, so you see that you're kindness. And that Gemara answers, I'm like Reish Lakish, I'm Reb Shimon, who's the Tanas of Shimon. Okay, so this ends the sugya of Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Guys, again, big sugya. Again, we are so used to our world that nothing happens until Kesef takes place. Money, right? Money, yeah. But you see now, Midaraisa, Maris kindness according to Rabbi Yochanan. Who do we pass like? Right? So you just brought a whole raya like Rava to Reish Lakish. So if you look at, I'll show you, it seems to be a machlokes. If you look at Mem Zayin Amid Beis, excuse me, Mem Vav Amid Beis, just in Tosfos, the end of the first thin line on Mem Vav Amid Beis, Void Koshel Rashi, the pasuk lekamon kireish Lakish. So Rashi seems to hold what like Reish Lakish. That's what Tosfos says. So the That's what Taisus says on Rashi, that Rashi passes like Rish Lakish. Good? Back by us. Memches Amid Aleph. Nasl Nesita and Ma'al. So look in the middle of Taisvis. First wide line. Benu Tam, Paisik Halacha, Reb Yochanan. He passes like Reb Yochanan. Afagav the Rava Ka'amakra Umasnisa Messiah Leila Reish Lakish. She has a question. We just brought a Gemara where Rava went ahead. They brought a raya to who? From the Torah, and a raya from Mishnah and Me'ilah to Reish Lakish. Why does Rabbeinu Tam paskin like Rabbi Yochanan? Hainu l'chayra. Hainu l'chayra. Perhaps. Aval efshel l'shnuyei Rabbi Yochanan. We can answer up like Rabbi Yochanan. Umastisim nami mukila b'bablin nachri k'deprecious. We answer up. You can speak the Mishnah that seemed to be a raya. Guys, the Mishnah that seemed to be a raya to Reish Lakish. You could say it's not the reason why Mashiach is because why? You need, it's because it's speaking about a nachri. Vein raya. So this whole Taisus goes to them in Beis, and the whole Taisus is going through to figure out how we fit Rabbi Yochanan into Shas. But you seem to be a machlokes Rashi and Taisus. We pass like Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara, the Rambam and Hilchas Mechira Perek Zayin Halacha Aleph passes like Rabbi Yochanan. Passes like Rabbi Yochanan, and that's the halacha. Okay, now what about Misha Para? So Misha Para Midara Mabel. So it's a very this kind of Geshmak Azach. Let's see it again on Mem Ches Samad Aleph. You get the whole thing right over there. 3 lines down. So if you look at the Taisus of Rosh, he tells you the Anshe Mabel that was the Chesima. Chesima was on Gezel, on Chamas. They were they cheated. Sedaim V'Moira. Again, the Beinad and Chavera, very cheating with the salt was mammon. There all kinds of different things over there. Mitzrayim, they went back on their word. How many times the parrot tells us you can get going, right? And what happened? He didn't keep his word. So therefore, look what happened to them. So that's what happens. It's a Mishapara. You get a Mishapara. Okay. Now the question is this: is Mishapara a curse, or it's a warning? Is it a curse, or it's? In other words, if you go back on your word, we're going to curse you. Or if you go back on your word, we're going to inform you what could happen to you. That's the question. Says the Gemara. Itmar, Abaya Amar, are you doing my din and we tell him, you go back on your word, we're warning you, this is what's going to happen. Rava Amar, Mayat Laitin and we curse him. That knows you go back on your word, you get warned, you get this curse, it's a curse. Abaya Amar, I do my din and Dichsiv, Vinasi Ba'am Chalei Sar, you shouldn't be cursing people, even in Nasi is usually a melech, but don't curse. They said, don't curse this Jew. Rava Amar, my Latina you do curse, dichsiv, ba'amcha. V'nasi ba'amcha le'sor, ba'am does ba'amcha mean? Ba'isa ma'isa amcha, a person who does what he's supposed to do. A person who does what he's supposed to do. But a person does not do isa ma'isa amcha, he can get a curse. Amar Rava, mino amin Allah. Where do I know this from, that you get a curse? From the following case, the Reb Chia bar Yosef. The Reb Chia bar Yosef, Yov le'zuzei amilcha. He was given money on salt. Rabbi Yosef, Rav Chia bar Yosef was providing money. He was providing money. L'soifi yaka milcha. What happened? It went up in price. The salt went up in price. So what did he want to do? He wanted to go back in the deal. Asla kamed Rabbi Yochanan Amalei. Rabbi Yochanan told Rabbi Chia bar Yosef, Zil havlahu, go give them the salt. V'loi kibul alayich mishapara. If not, you can go ahead and get a mishapara. V'i amid aiduye maydina. And if you're telling me that you have to inform him, Rabbi bar Yosef, do you? I mean, he didn't know the halacha mishapara. Most of the people sitting here know the halacha mishapara. Certainly, Rabbi bar Yosef was a gedolei amoraim knew the halacha. So it must be that what was Rabbi Yosef telling him? You're going to get cursed. He's telling him you're going to get. He's telling him you're going to get cursed. So that's the riot. That's how Rava knew it. That's how Rava knew it. So it must be okay. Now, Fred the Gemara Kasha. Reb Chia bar Yosef Asi lekabuli letuson. He's going to write the Rabbana. In other words, it doesn't make any sense. So you're telling me, okay, so good. You're not informing him. So then, what are you telling me? That he was willing to accept the curse. So Taisus Rosh says something interesting in the Havamina, fellas. He was thinking that the other person would realize that it was such be a public embarrassment to Rabbi Bar Yosef, he wouldn't let it go through. In other words, it was playing a game with him. Look, I really want my salt. When it went up in price, I'm willing to take a mishapara, and he think the other person would say, I don't want to publicly embarrass Rabbi Bar Yosef. That's what he was hoping. That was the havamina. But the Gemara is asking, like, in a million years, what's he thinking? El Rabbi Bar Yosef, there must be something missing, guys. El Rabbi Bar Yosef Arvin Hu Yavle. He had gone ahead. It was given to him a down payment. In other words, it wasn't that he made a deal and it was given a down payment on the salt. Who savar? He thought kinegdo hu kaina. He thought the down payment would only acquire X amount of salt. So let's say you had $5,000 worth of salt, and he gave you $1,000. So he was willing to go ahead and give back the 1,000. He was going to. It was on the other 4,000. He thought he could have charata. On the other 4,000, he could have charata. No. They gave you $1,000. You know what? They kind of the whole kit and caboodle. They get everything. So that's why. In other words, now you got a piece of. It wasn't pashut that he was going back on his word. He held you go back on the word connected what? What he gave money. But Rabbi Yochanan was telling him that no. Itmar, Arvin, a down payment. Rav Amar Kenegdu Kaina. Rav says you kaina what? Like Rabbi Yochanan Keneged, like Rabbi Bar Yosef, you kind of Keneged that amount. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Keneged Kulu Kaina. You kaina the whole thing. Mesivei. Hanoisein Arvin. Now this Arvin over here is not the same. Rashi points out that this Arvin over here is a security for it's security. You're holding it for security. Look up at Rashi, guys. You shouldn't get mixed up. Says Rashi, Hanoisein Arvin Leidomi Lahi Deleel. It's not similar to the one we just mentioned. Is there in a prius mixus mois? It's not a down payment. Shekoirin irish. Ela Arvin umashkin liknois es hachoizaboy. It's there that if you're going to go back on your deal, you're going to get it. So it's not a down payment. It's there for security. Guys, this is a collateral. This is a collateral. This is collateral. This is your house with a mortgage. This is a collateral. Yeah. Mortgage is the whole thing. No, your house is the collateral. Why is the bank lending you money? Yes, collateral. This is speaking about a metaltalin. Again, it's not speaking about karka. And it said, "Nice and arvin lechadeira." Someone gives what a arvin, like an orev. What's an orev? It's a cosign. It guarantees payment. So nice and arvin lechadeira v'amaloi. Im ani choizabi. If I go ahead, arvune meichalacha, then my arvin's yours. That again must have been worth at least the amount of the loan or not more. What? I guess it's not a loan. I guess it's a business transaction. If I have changed my mind, you're going to get double. Not only will you get back the Ervin, I'm willing to go ahead and give you what? Double. In other words, the Tanais, their words, what they said, that's their words. That's good. That's what it is. Whatever they said. And if the Tamei dom asmachta kanya. Guess what's an asmachta? Asmachta is where you don't think you're going to lose the money. You don't think you're putting something out there, and you don't think you lose it. The classic case is misachik bekuvia, gambling. But asmachta loy kanya, you don't think you're going to lose the money. So therefore, this person, neither one thinks that they're going to default on the business transaction. So mamela, if neither one's going to default on the business transaction, it's pashit that if you hold asmachta loy kanya, then the words are garnish megarnish. If you hold asmachta kanya like Rabbi Yossi, therefore their words are words. So if this guy goes back on doesn't defaults, the guy's going to get that, and the other one's going to get double. Whatever it is, we can keep the words. Rabbi Yehuda Omer dayoy sheyikna keneged arvaynai. Rabbi Yehuda says no. He holds asmachta loy kanya, and whatever the collateral is worth, that's what they'll get. But on the other point, we're not going to say not. If you look at Rashi, guys, says Rabbi Yehuda, this guy's not Michael the Arvin, and this guy's not doubling down. In other words, you know what the Arvin does? The deal is made on that. That the deal is on. So in my scenario, they made a deal for $5,000. The deal is for $1,000. That's the deal. They could have charata on the other four. They could have charata on the other four and not pay the price. Like Rabbi Yossi, no, they can't have charata on the other four. The other's going to go ahead. He's going to get the collateral. The other guy double down on the collateral. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, ain't asmach the kanya, it's words ba'alma, it's just something to facilitate the deal. And in that case, what? All you're going to get is whatever it's worth. Now, what does Rabbi Yehuda, when Rabbi Yehuda says, that you're not koina only connected to Arvin, when do you say that? Bisman sha'amaloi, when you said Arvini Yikun, that it should be, my Arvin should be acquired. Says Rashi, Yikna shloi nasna loy b'toris tchilas piroyin. He didn't give it to him as a down payment. Vashar lov milva, and the rest is a loan. El b'toris sha'arvin ze yikna es hakol. It's collateral and it's covering the whole loan. V'alav milsi. Okay, so in other words, it's not. There's two types. It's not a down payment. It's marmish there to pay up the whole loan. So bisman shom le arvin yikun avamach loy bias oisada be'elav zuz upor loy mihem chamesh meyazuz. If you buy for 1,000 and you give a down payment of 500, you can go ahead with my lab, who adin the metalton, the mistama kanalahu, who adin the metalton, the mistama kaina, right? The inya mishapara, and it's kashal rav. The linya metalton mistama, you also, says Rashi, my lab ki hechadam gamliel bekarka, hakoni bekesav legamri. That's kind of completely. The mechiyav le mixas mois stam. Who adin limitaltlin aknuyim bekesef leinyan mishapara the stomach kani le arvin the kule lechayv mishapara. Why did the Rav said you only kind of connected a little bit, and Rabbi Yochanan said you kind of connected the whole thing. By karka you kind of connected the whole thing. So lechayra this as well you should be kind of connected the whole thing, and if you go back on the deal you're going to get a mishapara. Says the Malay b'mitaltlin mistama lekana. You're not kind of. What's the difference? Well, Maishna. Karka de bekaspa kana le mamish. Guys, everyone's moida. The karka is nikna bekasef shtar chazakat. Karka is nikna bekasef. The whole machlokes where the moist kindness is by metaltalin. So by karka, where it works, you put your down payment, you get the whole thing. Masha ain't came out by metaltalin where it doesn't kinda. So kind of kula metaltalin like kana elul kibule mishapara that there's no kinyan that finalizes if there's no mashicha and only works on mishapara like kind of like kula. You're not kind of the whole thing. So again. We wanted to go say we had a kasha on Rav from this long-winded brisa. You want to have a kasha on Rav. What's the question? Rav says you only kind of connected part of it, not the whole thing. But being a raya from karka, you are connected the whole thing. Right? Connected the whole thing. Isn't it the same thing by metaltlin that you connected the whole thing? If you go back on the deal and get a mishapara on the whole thing, says Rav, notice the difference between karka and kesef. But and metaltlin. By karka, kesef is kind of everyone agrees to that. The mailer down payment is viable to be kind of the whole thing, and he's going to pay it up. It's going to pay it up, but the mishapara, if you go back in the deal, is on the whole thing. Mashain came out by the tatlin, then it's only it's not kaina. You need the mashicha. You can only be kaina the whatever it's worth can get part of it.
They got to walk.